The hottest point in Donbass is in Soledar. Street fighting, the AFU forces the enemy to suffer enormous losses, which exceed the total weekly figures in other parts of the front. Bakhmut and Soledar in Donetsk are the hottest points on the front. The situation for the AFU is extremely difficult, but controlled. At the same time, the occupiers are advancing literally on the corpses of their predecessors. Their losses, especially in the ranks of the Wagner mercenaries, are off the charts. And the victorious reports of the Russian media about the alleged control of Soledar do not correspond to reality. I would like to refute the reports of the Russian side, namely the Wagner PMC, paradoxically, by the sources of the defense ministry of the occupying country. Prigozhin said that only the Wagnerians were involved in the assault battles directly in Soledar. On the other hand, the Russian Ministry of Defense reports that units of the Strategic Defense Forces from the south and the north have blockaded the town of Soledar. We are talking about the fact that Prigozhin's so-called special contingent have actually been let into the city and have closed the exits to them. The information about the alleged control of the Wagnerites over the dominating heights in Soledar, China Mountain and some adits, as of January 12 is not confirmed. The information of some Western intelligence agencies about the alleged strengthening of the personal role of Prigozhin and the Wagner PMCs against the background of the storming of Soledar and Bakhmut is not true. I emphasize again, the Prigozhin mercenaries were launched into Soledar through the so-called corridor for street fighting. And street fighting is high-intensity fighting. And at this time, on both sides, units of the RF airborne troops are blockading the city, effectively preventing them from leaving. And it's not about blockading the armed forces of Ukraine. For now there is a way out for the AFU. There is no question of any operational encirclement of the Ukrainian forces. There is a way to Blagodatnoye, and hence there are opportunities for rotation, supply of the PK and evacuation of the wounded. I would like to note that at present, units of the airborne assault troops of the Russian armed forces are trying to press from the south and north into the area of the village of Blagodatnoye to block the communication routes and take under physical and fire control the route connecting Bakhmut, Soledar and Seversk. And this is exactly the key task of the occupants at the moment of taking Soledar. In no way is this the control of Artemsal. Unfortunately, many experts and intelligence representatives demonstrate a complete misunderstanding of the situation. The aim of the occupiers is complete control of the Donetsk region, not a single settlement. Therefore, it is not worth separating the situation in Soledar from the overall picture of the confrontation in the Bakhmut direction. The attack on Soledar is only one component. That is, the main goal of the enemy is to cut off the supplies for the Ukrainian garrison in Bakhmut. The second flank of the attack is the area of the village of Kleshivka. Moreover, this attack is taking place in parallel from several sides and is aimed at establishing control over the Bakhmut-Konstantinovka highway. Thus, Russian troops, using the so-called Christmas truce, regrouping, accumulating forces, and improving MTZ, simultaneously attacked the Ukrainian grouping on the flanks. In addition, fighting is also taking place in Bakhmut itself on the outskirts, in the area of Lumumba, Franco and Kotyabinskogo streets and in the dump area. The ultimate goal of the Russians is not Bakhmut or Soledar, but the entire Donetsk region. In turn, the fierce street battles in Soledar, involving cons from Wagner, are pursuing another interesting subtask: the disposal of the so-called special prisoners, who were thrown virtually to the slaughter in the surrounded by barrier troops. This is confirmed by Prigozhin's own information that the losses of the Wagnerians in Soledar in a day reach the total losses of the Russians in a week on the entire front line. As a reminder, the Ukrainian defenders are working to deplete the Russian troops near Soledar to the maximum. A video was released showing how 100 invaders were sent to a Kobzone concert with one shot.